So it's not going to be available for anybody else on YouTube. But if you share that link with them, for instance, Medina was talking about her cousin in Israel. I believe, and it would be great if somebody would test this for me. I believe that if you have the link and you share the link for somebody with someone, that they would be able to look at it. But again, it's very private to this. So I'm setting up YouTube right now. It looks like I'm looking at you, but I'm not. It's taking a little bit longer than normal, which is strange, but here we go. All right, so there we go. We're live streaming on YouTube on the Joy site, and now it says that it's being live streamed to a third party and we're all good to go. All right, so one of the requests in the past was that we not take burning questions until the end, that we cover the materials that we said we were going to talk about first. So we're going to start with bookmarks because we just jumped into bookmarks real quick at the end of last week, and people wanted a little bit more time spent on bookmarks. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And to do that, I'm going to share the screen and we'll go look at some bookmarks. So I'm using Chrome. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of, let's see, make sure if you can see this. Can you see my desktop that, nope.
Yes, it says Zoom.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, now I'm going to, I actually changed screens. And so I have to, just realized Zoom is weird this way. Is it not going to let me? Huh. All right, we'll do it this way. Now you can see my desktop, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So just to be super clear, I'm using Google Chrome when I am on the internet. I can also use any other one. So we're going to start with a different one first. And now what are you looking at?
Zoom.
Okay, good. Good. Sometimes it doesn't flip when I go to a different one. All right, so from Zoom, I'm going to click on a new tab. Can you see the Google background?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to put in Edge, Microsoft Edge. And it doesn't come up that way. Let's call it what it really is, Microsoft Edge. All right, and I am going to go to Edge, maybe. I don't ever use Edge, so it might not like that.
What is Microsoft Edge? Is it like Safari?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway,
And
it says Microsoft Edge browser. Yeah.
it is, yeah. Oh, and it's just giving me the logo. Isn't that weird? All right. I was going to do it from a different browser, but we're not. We're just going to use Google. So let's get rid of that one. What are you looking at now?
Your desktop.
Okay, good.
Arctic.
It's interesting because oftentimes Zoom makes me go in and out when I'm looking at different things. All right, so we're looking at Google and let's see. Name something out loud. I can't see you. Just name something out loud that you ate for breakfast.
Oatmeal.
Banana? Okay. Hopefully we don't get anything dirty. All right, we're gonna go to Banana Republic clothing. And Banana Republic clothing, just because somebody said banana, and here we go. I'm going to go to Banana Republic clothing. And so here's a website. I want to visit it again. I don't want to have to type it out. I don't want to do a search for it. I just want to go right to where I am within this page. So just to be really clear, this is their homepage, right? And that's easy to find, except look at what the actual name is. It's bananarepublic.gap.com. I didn't know all these were part of that same company. So
I think you're on the Gap. Is it possible you're on the Gap page?
No, it says Banana Republic.
No, it says Banana Republic.
But all of
Gee,
those
they got the
places
cheapest
are
too.
Gap. All
Yeah,
the-
same company.
Yeah, Athletica.
So here's what I'm gonna do, because I want to save time next time. I want to look at linen. So I'm gonna go to the women's linen shop, and I'm just gonna pick on
Nice.
something, this dress. Okay, so I click on this dress. Hopefully it's gonna go $150. Good heavens. Huh, interesting. It's for that little strip of fabric. Interesting, it's not letting me click on it. What I want to do is go to a very specific piece of a site. This isn't, it's 160. All right, this isn't
Linen's
behaving at
expensive.
all. Very expensive. All right, let me go to cashmere, where we'll really see some prices. And no, I don't want the coupon. Close that. Let's go to men's cashmere sweater.
The coupon is still there, Betsy, at the bottom.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Maybe
But what
not-
I'm trying to
maybe-
do is click on an item so it will show me the details. There we go. All right.
Okay.
So I picked on the details of this item. All right. Now I've gone through a lot to get to this point, right? I may have spent a lot of time searching linens and cashmeres and all of that stuff. And then I go, oh, okay, I want this, but I'm not ready to buy it this instant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my top address bar and see how complicated the address is now, by
Yeah.
the way,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to
Thanks.
go right here
Perfect.
and I'm going to star it. And so when I star it, it says, it gives me the menu for bookmarking. So here's the actual name of this Alta Cashmere crew neck sweater, blah, 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 blah. First thing you need to know is you can change that, right? You don't have to keep their thing. So I can say, I want to call this Scott sweater. Okay. And it's in the folder called shopping list. Interesting. It just automatically went to shopping list. I like that. I like that it figured out, and that I had nothing to do with that. It figured out where did it want to go, because I actually haven't been in my bookmark folder called shopping list in a long time. Oftentimes what happens is it'll default to the last one you did. Now, this one also allows me to track the price. If the price drops, it will let me know. How cool is that? Okay. So then I say done, or I say remove. If I were going to be changing my bookmarks, I could remove it. But right now I'm going to say done. Okay. So now how do I find this again? That's the question. So I'm going to open up a new, I'm going to get rid of that. So that one's gone, right? How do I find it? I'm going to go up here to my toolbar and I'm going to go to all bookmarks. And the easiest thing to do is to go here so that we can see it all. And are you seeing this side panel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Open side panel. So now it's going to open it big. And I'm going to get rid of some of these little blocks so we can see better. Put that up there. All right. So now here's all my bookmarks. And you can see how tiny this little nugget is here. This little nugget shows me if I only had like 3 folders, this nugget would be big, but it's not, because I have a lot of bookmarks. Do I use all these bookmarks? No, mostly not. But it also trains my computer to go to places faster because I've bookmarked them. So that's kind of a nice little thing. Now you can see this is the first time I've used shopping list. I use things like travel and dance and books a lot more. I can also create a new folder here. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to go to shopping list. I'm going to click on it. And there it is, Scott sweater. And I click on it and boom, it opens up the page for Scott sweater. And I am immediately sent right back to Banana Republic. Okay. So that's how this works. And it's a tracked product, which means it will let me know if the price goes down. All right, I want to go back and look at my bookmarks for a minute. So right here, shopping list, I want to go back one page, That brings me back to all of my bookmarks. Notice on the side, I'm going to go to a different one that has more. You've got the 3 dots right here. What does that mean? That always means more. So let's see. Oh, I can open all 9 tabs all at once. I can open them in a new tab group. I can open them in an incognito window. I can open them in a whole new window so that I'm not encumbered. I will have 2 windows and I can look at both of them simultaneously. I can move this to the bookmarks bar. So up at the top, underneath the address bar, let me just move this. Underneath the address bar, I've got my bookmarks bar, and these are things that I want to not dig around to find. I want to find them right away because I'm in the middle of them or because I use them frequently. And so these are going to be ones that are just right at the top all the time. I try and keep this list here at the top to not go beyond what I can see. I could actually fill it up. I could make it so that there was another one here and then more that were beyond and I'd have to scroll. But I'm really kind of fastidious about keeping my bookmarks bar small so that I can find what I need when I need it right away. All right, so let's say I want to open all 9 of them. I'm going to do that just for fun. Now, can you see the very top of my page?
Yeah, weird
It's
things are
opening.
happening.
It's opening up all 9 of those travel bookmarks. And you can see as I hover over them, I don't have to open the whole page. I can just hover. This one is webcams in Iceland. This is spot tracking. That's my husband's satellite unit that tells me where he is in the world when he's somewhere remote. Again, spot tracking. This one is least visited national parks in the U.S. This is the Swanee River, USGS water data. When he was doing the race, I needed to know what the water levels were at various places. All places in Atlanta, Atlas Obscura, that's a fun one. Department of Transportation, you should have this one. If you travel at all, you should have this one bookmarked as well, because
Yeah.
this is the one that's going to help you if the airlines are messing with you. Silicon Rings, I don't know why that one's in travel, probably shouldn't be. And then Florida State Parks. So I've got all of those because I said open them all. I can bebop around or I can go, okay, that one I don't want to look at, don't want to look at that one, don't want to look at that one. Definitely don't need that one right now, or that one or that one. I'm going to close those and I'm going to look, oh darn, the webcams are off, so I'm not going to look at that. Let's look at Florida State Parks, and I can just click on it right there. So really easy uses for bookmarks to make your life browsing much, much easier. So questions about them? Martin.
Will the same apply, more or less the same procedure with Microsoft Edge?
Yes, that's what I was trying to do at the beginning, was to open up Edge for you. But I didn't want to mess around with it. It'll take me too long to get it because I think I'm going to need to install it. This computer that I'm on is actually an Edge computer. It's
Right.
a Microsoft computer, but I use Google Chrome for everything. So
So
I took
I can
Edge.
I can dig my way through it, right?
You can.
You know.
It's the same
Okay.
process with any browser you use. Everybody's going to use slightly different lingo for it. But
Yeah.
let me just look, for instance, at Scott's Safari, so we can dip into
Here.
All right, so when I am on Safari, and it might be slightly different. Anybody? Oh, here it is. Okay, so on his iPad, let's get this so you can actually see it. On his iPad, you can see I've got Safari opened up, and right there, they call it the same thing. It's
Right.
bookmarks.
Okay, I see it.
So that's through Safari. So
Right.
all of the companies are going to have essentially the same process of being able to store that. Now, think about this. They're not storing the web pages, okay? So you're not storing loads and loads and loads of information. You're storing one line of code. that takes you to that. It's the shortcut that takes you to that location, right? So when we were looking at the address bar and it had all of those letters and numbers and characters, that's just the code to take you to that. So it's one line, literally like no room. It's not taking up any space. Joyce.
So we could bookmark the links to the YouTube pages that from Joy.
Good question.
Yeah. Good question. Good question. Are they the same as favorites?
Yeah.
No, that's a good question because that one baffles me a little bit too. It's the same kind of thing, Renee, but it's different. So let me just pull it up. I don't see favorites on my computer. I think that's just a mobile device thing, unless you know differently. Are you using a different browser?
Can talk to her.
No,
Go.
we have it on
Okay.
our laptop favorites.
On your
It's in
laptop?
Edge. It's on
Oh,
Edge.
it's in Edge. Okay. In Edge, then it's probably the same. I can't answer
Favorites.
that 100%, but I will tell you, for instance, if I go here and instead of going directly to Chrome, I go to my Google search bar. So I go to Google search and I'm going to type in coffee.
What?
Coffee.
Coffee, just coffee. And let's see. And here's a Wikipedia page for more than I ever needed to know about coffee. I scrolled past all the advertisements. Okay. And then I open up that page. And so now I'm on Wikipedia and it's just the Wiki Coffee
There it
page.
is up there, that sign.
So now if I go here, you see that little mark up at the top there? It looks like kind of a bookmark. And when I tap that bookmark, it tells me it's saved to favorites, which is interesting because everything on here is Google based, but it says save to favorite pages. And then I can choose to edit it and it will give me favorite pages. And so, and it's not set up in folders. It's just pages. And I try not to use this very much because I don't really need two systems of bookmarks. You know what I mean? So there's like 10 here maybe. And so I can add it. I can add coffee to one of these other pages as well. And then say done, and I'm done with it. And that's favorite pages. But I'm not gonna do that because it's a whole nother, it's like having two file cabinets. And if I really want to find something, my brain is gonna go, it's in my bookmarks because that's the system I use. I don't want to confuse myself and have two different systems running and wonder, where did I save that? At that point in time, it is far faster for me to just go ahead and research for it, research for it and type in the word coffee and find it again there. So what I am going to do, if I pull up this page, and remember, I just pulled up this page through my Google search bar. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my three little dots up at the top here. And I'm going to click those three little dots. And I'm going to say, open in Chrome browser. So right now, I'm not in Chrome browser. I'm in my Google search app. Two different apps, two different streams of where things take me. It's kind of like, if you go, let's see, in the Keys, when there's traffic or construction or an accident and you're in Isla Morada, you can get off of the main road and go on the old road and avoid some of that, right? Gonna get you to the same place for a certain amount of time. But same thing with going to Miami. You can stay on the old road and go all the way up US 1, or you can hop on the turnpike and go up. Gonna get you to the same place eventually, just two different roads to get you to the same place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click open in Chrome browser because I was not in Chrome browser. I was just in my Google search. Now I'm in my Chrome browser. It looks slightly different. When I go up here to the top and hit those three dots, there's my star. And when I click on my star, then it's going to say bookmark was saved in dance. And I don't want to save it in dance. So I'm going to hit that arrow and it's going to give me my option to change and edit the bookmark of where it actually is going to go. So let me go back to, there's my bookmarks. So now you can see, this is how crazy I am. I have 400 mobile bookmarks, 10 on my bookmarks bar, and 256 other bookmarks, and I have 6 on my reading list. So these are categories. Which one might it be in? So I'm going to go to mobile bookmarks. Now I'm back to where I was. Where is it going to go in dance? Is it going to go in trails, grants, travel, health, education? I don't know if I have one on food here. There it is. Food is way down there. So I can put it in food and I can find it later, because that would make sense to me. Coffee is something consumed, so I would look for it for food. If I was reading that article for a different purpose, let's say I was reading it for travel, I was going to South America and wanted to visit some coffee plantations, I might put it in travel. But that's also kind of the neat thing about bookmarks, is just not having to refine something all over again, especially when you're looking at a lot of things. When you're doing that, it can get confusing. Where's that page? Oh, I really need to find it now. Bookmarks are great for finding it now. Any other questions about Linda? Unmute yourself. You're muted.
Okay. I use bookmarks, everything you've been saying, but I've recently also started using history, which you find in the same place under those 3 dots on Chrome.
Yes.
And that shows the last several things that you've been on.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a good way to do it as well. History is pretty much saved for all time, unless you clear your history cache, which actually is good to do from time to time. Clearing your history probably would have saved somebody's job at Pennicamp, as they were on work hours surfing for other things, and they weren't smart enough to clear their history. And I was able to go back in and go, okay, on this date, during this time frame, when this person was working and nobody else was at this computer, this is what they were doing. And it had nothing to do with work. They were buying and selling property. and it was not work related. So that cost them their job. So, good to know when to clear things out too. But I do like history. Thank you, Linda. Joyce.
Okay, so I just looked up the difference between bookmarks and favorites.
Yes.
Bookmarks are used to save the URL of a specific web page. They act as shortcuts to access frequently visited sites without needing to type in the URL each time. On the other hand, favorites are used to mark specific web page as a favorite because they are particularly important. They often come with additional functionality, such as the ability to add notes. But they're very similar and can, and
Yeah. I didn't know you could add notes to favorites. I've never seen that function. Somebody who does that, try it out and let us know how it goes. Thank you, Joyce.
Sure.
Terry.
I was with somebody the other day and I said something about clearing my history on my phone. And she said she didn't really know. If you don't know, you can go down to the bookmark on the open book on the bottom, and it has your history. And it's a really important thing to do, because you might not want, who knows what you were looking at, or by mistake.
You could
funny,
be
three different people I was with didn't know that they could do that on their phone.
You could be shopping for their birthday present, and you don't want that page to accidentally be showing. Lots of reasons why we'd like to keep our browser private.
I just thought that was interesting that 3 very techie, sort of techie, people that knew what they were doing on their phones didn't know that.
Interesting. All right. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell about bookmarks. It's pretty simple. Play around with it if you haven't in the past and see how it goes. Now let's talk about podcasts. This is another quick, short, and easy one. If you were using Google Podcasts, if you use podcasts and you were using Google Podcasts, Google Podcasts went away. And first of all, let's just ask, and then I'll know how deep to go in. Was anybody using Google Podcasts?
No.
Perfect. Okay. Don't even need to talk about it, but I will really quickly because it'll just make you smarter. So Google is constantly changing its products and its services that it offers in attempts to find what works best for folks. And so because Google owns YouTube, they chose to move everything to YouTube Music instead of Google Podcasts. So if you were listening to any Google podcast, if I ever listened to podcast, it was on Google Podcasts, and that platform was taken away well in advance. I would say more than 6 months in advance. They said, come June, it's going away. And then it would say next month it's going away. And then it said, so they gave plenty of notice and they said, here's what to do. And they gave you a nice little article on how to move your podcast over. What I did, and it said where you could do it. You can move it to YouTube Music, which is music and podcasts, or you can move it to some other company. So I chose to take all of mine and I moved them to Spotify. And then when Google made the transfer super easy, I also just moved them right to YouTube Music. And that was just a simple whoop. And even though Google Podcasts is gone, they still sent out a notice like last week, which is why I'm discussing this, and said, you can still move your stuff to YouTube Music. So doesn't affect anybody here in the room, but somebody else might come up to you and say, some techie friend of yours might say, hey, I can't listen to my favorite podcast anymore. What's up with that? I'm really mad. And you can go, oh, well, let me tell you how to fix that. And now you know, you can take all of them and move them right over to a different service. No problem whatsoever. All right.
What service would we go to? If I wanted to start with a podcast, where would I go?
Yeah. So any music service that also does podcasts, I chose Spotify first. And then I chose YouTube Music. I don't listen to podcasts very much. I do when I'm painting. That's pretty much the only time I do it, is when I'm doing something very mindless where I need a total distraction. And so our house is done. I don't need to paint anymore. But Spotify worked really well. YouTube Music worked really well. What are some other music services that you all use?
I use Apple Podcasts.
But that didn't matter if you were an Apple Podcast person.
Oh, from Google. Okay.
Yeah, but but other music besides Apple,
Okay.
what does somebody else use?
I'd like a
seen-
class on
Brian?
how to do it. I don't even have a music list.
Amazon
Okay.
Prime.
What's that?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. They
Yeah.
have a
I've
music
got music. They
service.
keep asking me about. Well, I'm not using it. Why not?
Okay. It's going to cost you.
Ah, well, I
Let's
have
see.
Prime, so
Okay. Then it probably won't cost you. My
it's
husband
already
doesn't,
costing me.
my husband
Kathy,
doesn't
I mean-
listen to music, so I'm just looking to see what other one. I'm
He
drawing a
doesn't
blank.
listen to music.
Like Pandora, is that what you're talking about?
Pandora,
Or
thank
no?
you. That's the
Yeah.
other.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Pandora.
Pandora.
iHeartRadio is another one. I think you can do it through iHeart as well. So yeah, basically any music service that you're not paying for, you'll get ads. If you're paying for it, then you get it ad free. And Amy, I would be happy to do a music
Yeah.
list class.
You
It
know,
won't take
just
long.
so-
It's super simple.
I just
so.
go on Pandora and pick the genre and then listen to all that. But I'd be interested to know how you like where you save, how you save your favorites and all that. Okay.
Okay, cool. I will
Great.
play with that and let you know.
Oh, yeah.
I know Apple very well. That's the one I use. But I'll play with some of the other services as well. All right, let's talk about
Something else
2FA.
about podcasts, because I'm a super podcast listener. And what I've discovered is it's been downloading onto my phone. So when I went to update my phone, of course, there was no room on it because it was totally loaded with podcasts. So I had to offload all the podcasts. So keeping them stored then in YouTube or Apple, if I had a subscription, right?
Yes,
Make life a lot easier for my phone.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that you really don't realize when at first until you look at
Take
your
up a lot
storage.
of room.
Yeah, it does. Especially if you listen to a lot of them. It does take up a lot of space. So when you listen to a podcast, it'll download it so you can listen to it anywhere, whether you've got service or not, whether you've got cell service or Wi-Fi, you can listen to it wherever you are. Often good for like flying in planes and places where you're not supposed to have access to the internet. So good to offload anything that you're downloading. And looking at your, when we talked last week a little bit about the space that things take up. If I look at my files on my phone, and I keep up with this pretty well. In fact, I was doing it some last night. So I'm in files, and I go down and I look at my categories and I look at downloads. Right now, I've only got 800 megabytes. I just happened to be looking at it last night. And so that's not much at all. And I had offloaded a bunch of stuff because, again, downloads happen really quickly and you might not recognize that. You may be looking at a website. I was looking at a website. I was looking at our county commissioner's website, and I was looking at the agenda. When you click on the link, they don't have it stored on the browser. It's a download. And so if I click on the link, the agenda automatically saves to my phone. And so, I've got the agenda packet
Where are
right
you
here.
now?
What?
Where are you now where you see that?
This is in my Google Pixel phone. It is in my files. So, right there, I've got files.
Whoa. Okay.
But on any phone, you're going to see, let's see, on his Apple, let me just get the right lingo. I go to settings and it's going to be, came up with storage right away. Yep.
Yeah.
So in settings under general, it is storage. This says iPad storage. And under iPad storage, it shows where, the bulk of his stuff is. And it happens to be in apps. He has pretty much mostly app stored. He has iPad operating system has a good chunk of it. Photos is small, media is small, messages is small, mail is even smaller. Oh, it just updated. Because this is one that he really can't get any. This is such an old one. So he has mostly the operating system is taking up all the room on this. So he's really just using this as something to get onto the internet and
I've
read
got
from.
22 gigabytes in podcasts. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That's a whole lot. In Scott's iPad storage, this only has 32 gigabytes and 25 of it is used. So you have 22 of just podcasts. That's a lot. Get rid of them. Because remember, you're like, oh, I might want to listen to that again, or I might want to share with somebody. You can find it again. Don't store stuff on your devices that you can find easily again. Medina.
I remember you told me this a few weeks ago. I also have a lot of podcast storage. How do you, if you offload them, is that how you get rid of it? You offload?
Yeah.
Delete it.
You delete it. You can offload them. That's just going to take it off of your device. It doesn't delete it from the planet. It's still out there.
Okay. But there are
question.
two options. There are two options
Yes.
here. Um,
I would delete.
offload app or delete.
I would, oh, offload what?
Offload app or delete app.
Yeah, but delete that.
You don't want to
Mm.
delete the app. You want to delete the podcast.
Okay. Offload app. This will free up storage, used by the app, but keep its documents and data. Okay, I think I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terry.
Can you,
I listen to a lot of podcasts also, and I always used to say, keep newest one or whatever. And then I just really started, I listened to it, I delete it, and then sometimes I'll say, oh, what was that one about Susan Cohn? And it's very easy to go back. I mean, because they'll be in
It is.
the little picture will be there, even if it hasn't downloaded in 6 weeks, hasn't put them on
Yeah.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a habit that I got into because I was filling it up and I was, but it is fascinating to see, you just hear something. I was watching something in the Olympics, which is for an example. And the next thing I know, you could hear, about 10 different people, or, it can become kind of compulsive if you really are interested, but it also keeps my mind going because I can change it reading a book.
The Like podcast is presented by Starbucks and Intuit. Let's give a warm welcome up.
It is fun, and sometimes I have forwarded one to something. It was something my son and I had seen in a show, and I forwarded. It's easy to forward a podcast.
It is.
To somebody
Yeah.
else. They're
Thank
fun.
you. Kathy, did you have a question?
yeah,
Comment?
I do. I'm just kind of trying to get it wrapped in my head. We were talking about bookmarks. Now I haven't listened to podcasts, so can you bookmark a podcast, like take it off your device, but like bookmark it where you've got kind of those that you like to listen to? Is that possible? Because we were talking
Yeah.
about bookmarks earlier.
What you do with the
No.
podcast is you're not going to bookmark a specific one. What you're going to do is subscribe or follow the person.
A certain.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
so-
And you can like identify that or bookmark that. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. And if you just
Thank you.
start dabbling into it, and you only have like 2 or 3, real
Mhm.
simple to play around with it. Somebody like Terry who listens to a lot of them, I'll bet she's got a lot of, because she's shared ones over the years with me. So yeah, I'm sure that she's got a huge list of people that she follows. But yeah, just kind of check it out. Apple Podcasts is great. Very organized and very easy to use. All right, let's talk about 2FA, FIDO2, and MFA. This is something that Linda had brought up quite a while ago and said, maybe we could talk about this again. So we're going to talk about it again because most people are like, what is she talking about? I have no idea. All right, so 2FA is two-factor authentication, okay? And I just want to remind everybody that there was a point in time when somebody said the cloud and our brains went, oh, like a cartoon person, like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about. It's too crazy for me. And then we're like, it just rolls off our tongue like it's nothing. All right. Same thing with these terms. 2FA, two-factor authentication. If I go to open up my bank, let's see, I open up my credit card and where is it? I tap on my credit card and then the first thing it says is biometric login because I set it up that way. So I put my finger on there and it opens it up. And then it says to verify, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, we're going to send you a code because you asked to your phone number. And so then at the bottom, I say send code. So when I send the code, and then what happens is in a minute, less than a minute, oh, look, there's a little pop-up. The pop-up says, here's the code, and I can just copy the code from here. Now, what I love about this company is it says, we recognize that the code has already gone in. Oh, it didn't do it this time. Interesting. Normally it says we recognize this code and here you go. You can continue to get on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my code and there's the code. It's a one-time passcode and it is 543686. So I can 543, what did I say?
686.
Thank you. 543686. So now I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to type in 543686. And then what I get is I get the continue button is lit up. And so I've put that code in right at the top there. And I hit continue. So hard to hit backwards. And it opens up my account for my credit card. And I'm in. That's 2 factors. I used my finger for the first one. The second one, it sent me a one-time single-use code that allows me to get in. One of the best ways to have security on anything that you're going to. I always enable 2-factor authentication for anything that has to do with my money. All right, so I'm going to log out of this because I always want to log out when I'm in something money. And then I close that window because I want to log out completely and make sure that I am not in there. And that's as simple as it is. It can't get any easier than that. Mobile banking on my phone, which is generally where I do it because it's easier and because it's more secure. On my computer, I can't use a biometric. My computer, my laptop that I'm looking at you on is too old. It doesn't have biometrics. Scott's MacBook has a biometric. There's actually a key on the keyboard where he can put his finger, and that's a biometric for him. He can use that when he's using that. When he's using his phone, he can use his face. If my old phone used to have a touch thing back here for my fingerprint, having a biometric is great. Because unless you're in a spy movie and they cut off your finger to get into the secret vault, it's very, very safe because your finger has to be there, right? And then, Jerry, well, I watch a lot of movies. I mean, it's not infallible. That's all I'm saying. But, you know, the old way of using a password, a username and password, while we stress that using complicated passwords is always imperative. And did I share the latest 2004 password chart with you yet? Did I share that with you on how long it takes? Kathy's shaking her head. That's because Kathy's been gone for a while. Let's see if I can, let me just try and pull this up really quickly.
I think you did, but it's always good to see it again.
It's always good to look at it again. So I'm going to pull up Hive.
I show it to John all the time because he keeps same passwords forever and
yeah, such a bad idea. All right, so here is the new 2024 Hive Systems password chart. And what the chart is about is the time it takes a hacker to brute force your password in 2024. What does brute force mean? It's not a human being typing this stuff in. They create programs that just run 24/7 looking to hack into passwords and systems. So the number of characters in your password from 4 to 18 and what that consists of: numbers only, lowercase letters, upper and lower, numbers, upper and lower, numbers, upper, lower, letters, and symbols is always the best. You want to have a good mixture because if you only have 4 of them, it takes 9 seconds to figure that out with the computer programs that they have. If you have 8 characters of a mixture, it takes 7 years. That's pretty good. Now, that doesn't mean that in 7 years they're waiting around. That's also kind of like the lottery, meaning that, you know, it's a random generator. And so it could take up to 7 years. It could take less. It could get lucky. It could take more. What you always want to do, and the question you ask yourself is, am I in the green with my passwords? And that means it is long enough and sufficiently complicated enough to take 11 billion years to crack. It's sort of a analogy, you know, it's not like we're even going to have a planet in 11 billion years. Just kidding. Of course we will. But, you know, it's longer than we can possibly think of. But when you look here, okay, I have, you know, a 7-character password. Look at how short of a time, no matter how complicated you get, how short of a time, 1 month, 2 weeks, 4 days, 50 minutes, and 4 seconds that it takes to crack those passwords. So it's always, always, always going to be a good idea to have as many characters as you can and as complicated as you can, aka don't just use any of these first four categories. Use this category: numbers, upper and lowercase letters, and symbols. That's always going to keep you the safest. How do we keep track of all this? With password managers. Password managers are what's going to keep you safe. And they're simple and easy to use. I know for the most part, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think that there are still some people in my life that are not using password managers, and I will support you to do whatever it takes to use a password manager because it's going to protect you in a huge way. Linda. And then Martin.
On the subject of password managers, I use 2-factor whenever I can, but okay, so my question about the password managers is I use my computer, my iPhone, and my iPad, and I never know if it's the same manager or a different one. I don't know.
You're all on the same system. You're all Apple, right?
Yes.
Yes. And if you're not on all Apple, let's just say somebody like Kathy who has
I'm sorry. My computer is not Apple. My computer is regular Windows.
And same with Kathy. She has an iPhone, she has an iPad, and she has a laptop. So laptop, different operating system. Good question, Renee. And I'll hang on 1 second to that question. So if you're using the same browser system, and this, yes. So Kathy uses Google, right?
Yes. Yes.
So by using Google, do you use a password manager? We're going to get personal.
Yes. But
Okay.
I'm like Linda. I'm weeding through it because I realize I'm the same way. I have some on my phone, which is Apple. And so I'm just keeping them on my phone because it does the two authentication, you know, I mean, it does those things. But I also have passwords that I am doing with Google.
Okay,
so I am kind of confused.
Okay. And that's a valid question. So let's look at an analogy like a key to your house or a key to your car. Let's use house because most of us still have the old-fashioned kind that you put in, and I mean, some don't, but you know, do this and that. It has a specific code on it. A key, a cut key has a specific code. It's a bunch of ridges and bumps, right? So that cut key is going to work for that particular lock every time, unless you damage the lock or the key. It's going to work every time. Some houses, like ours, we made all of the locks work for all the same key. You know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 exterior doors. And so all of our locks work with the same key. We don't have to have 4 different keys, right? Because we made it that way. We chose to have the inset for the lock that we set to fit for that key. Now, if you're looking Where is she? Oh, she has a Conch Republic flag hanging on her deck. She's on the Kankakee River. And a hummingbird feeder.
I hope you're enjoying. Sorry.
I am
I've been
enjoying.
I've been very mobile.
Takes me back. So when you're using, let's say we're using Safari to go
Mhm.
places, right? You're going to get into any mobile thing you're doing and you're using Safari. Question, on your computers, these two ladies, because they have a mixed set, what are you using to access the internet from your computer?
Google.
Linda?
I'm using Chrome right now.
Okay, so you both use Chrome on your computer. So then that's like having a different, if you're saving your passwords for that, it is like having a different set of keys
Mhm.
for that particular thing. And it seems to me, I've never done it with two different things, so I'm just kind of thinking out loud here right now. It seems to me that the password that you use to get into, let's just say, I don't know, your Visa card, to your whatever bank that would be through. Let's say Chase Bank, trying to think, Chase Bank, Visa card, your password to get into their system would have to be unique to your Visa card, right? To your Visa
Mhm.
account. It's not going to have you have two different passwords to get into that account. It would be one. Anything else that you put in would be recognized as not your password that you have set in their system. So are you solely going, let's just pretend you have a Visa account, you fill in whatever you're using personally. Are you doing your mobile bill paying or looking at your accounts or whatever on your mobile devices or on your laptops?
On both.
You're doing both.
I'm mainly my mobile device.
Okay. So
I'm not-
Linda, if you're getting in from your computer, are you hand typing in your password?
No, I go into the program where I have my Visa card. I don't go directly to Visa.
You go into the program.
You mean,
Well, wait a minute. I shouldn't say
bank?
that. I don't know anymore. It comes up automatically. I really, I don't
Okay,
ever
if
have.
it comes up automatically, then you've saved it. You've saved it as a through the password manager. So, all right. Carlene, keep your idea for a minute, and then who was it? Renee or Andy had asked a question as well. Hang on a second. So if I look, let me go to share screen and get this thing out of the way. I am going to go to my Google account where I have the most stuff, which is my personal account, and I go to my security. So this is security is where my password manager is. And I go down to my saved passwords. I have 415 unique passwords saved in my Google account. Manage passwords. I'm going to pick one that I don't use and I don't care about. Let's see.
We might have to do an intervention.
I know. I know. No, this is a good thing. You want 400 saved passwords.
Right.
You want that to be this complicated. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Baptist Health. Don't care about that. Not using it. All right. So here we go. First, verify it's me. It doesn't want me to do anything until I verify it's me. And I can show my password and look and make sure. That I'm not going to show you. It's already entered it in. I'm going to say next. On my phone, it asks for my finger. Okay. And then with Baptist Health, right here, there's the password. I can copy it and paste it into where I'm trying to get into. or I can just look at it. Okay, and it's a complicated one, so that's good. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to say I'm going to edit it. Okay, what I would not do is I would not edit it before I changed it with Baptist Health. Okay, so this is manually editing my password. So there's my password. I can edit it. I can just put in the cursor here and completely change it. I can erase all of this and put in what I want to put in and change it. But the key is that I would not start here and change it here, because if I did, and then I said to my password manager, yes, let's go ahead and change it. And then I try and get into Baptist Health, and Baptist Health's going to go, wait, that's not it. So what I would do is I would log into Baptist Health with my existing password. I would then go to my account, change my password. It's going to ask you, what's your current password? It'll ask you again, even if you're logged in, because it's trying to stop people from getting into your account. You put in your current password, and then it will give you, put in a new password, and then it'll give you verify your new password. Then, as you're using your password manager in the device you're using, it will pop up and it will say, do you want me to update your password? And you say, yes, please. And then it updates. If it doesn't pop up and say, update it, what you would do is go to where we just went. So you said you use Google on your laptop. You would go to your account, security, manage passwords. You would go find that account, and then you would manually update it with the password, so that while your keychain, your Apple keychain would be saving it, an Apple and all your mobile devices, then you go in and you can manually change it, edit it, whatever, so that it's all the same. So then it doesn't matter which password manager you're using. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Because you have taken the time to make sure that it's across the board all the way, because you're using different systems. If you used Google on all of your Apple devices, then you wouldn't have to do that. So there is a benefit to using one system across the board. So when, and I said this many times, when I was the Joy director, we got an Apple phone, mainly so I could learn Apple phones. But what I did, because all things Joy were at gmail.com, right? So that was the Joy already had a Google account. So what I did was I didn't use Safari at all on the Apple phone. I put Google Chrome and all the Google products on the Apple phone, which you can do. So using one system across the board is less work, because then no matter where you log in, it's all the same. But it doesn't mean that you have to. You can use Safari on everything and use your keychain to save your passwords there, and then make sure that it's the same password when you're sitting at your computer at home. Did I confuse everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
The key
There were a
is
bunch of
wanting to take,
questions. What?
the key is wanting to take the time to do this when you just want to get on your program and be done with it.
Right.
Amen.
The best time to do it is after this class, when it's fresh in your brain and you take a couple of minutes to correct 2 of them, 3 of them, the 3 important ones. And then next class, put into place those things. Yeah. All right. So Carlene's hand is up, but several other people had questions. I said, hold on. So, and I know that yoga is going to happen any minute. So quickly, Andy, you had a question?
For your PIN numbers, when you go like to the store and everything, should we just increase it? I use 5 digits now instead of.
Good. Yes, you should change your pins. You should increase them. Some won't allow you to go past like 6. So it's the way their systems are set up. You know, the main thing with pins is you're standing physically punching them in. What I would do is make sure that you're not being observed. You know, that's the main thing. Some places have a nice little space for you to put it in and not be able to do it. But some are like, it's wide open and everybody can look over your shoulder. So be a little more secretive if it's a place where people can see what you're doing.
Thank you,
Excellent
Betsy.
question.
I'll see you next week. Gotta
Okay,
go.
Martin.
Right. Good night.
Carlene.
Well, basically, I just wanted to confirm that yes, the iPad that, has all my passwords is very convenient for me to go look and when I have to, but they are outdated and I need to go through them and delete them because they're messing up my whole system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
Absolutely. You got to invest a little bit of time in it.
Yes, that's all it is.
All right. Did somebody else have a question? Seemed like there were 3. Amy.
Oh, real quick. My sister has an iPad and she insists that she can only make cell phone calls to people that have iPhones. And I try to argue that is true, correct? Okay. So now she's right and I'm wrong. Thanks a lot.
Text also, Amy.
Text.
From an iPad, you can only text to an Apple.
Text also through an iPad.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody.
A lot of text messages were sitting in iPadville that never got to me, and people were angry with me because I'm like, I've never saw it because it never came through. Now we have to hit Kathleen's question. She had emailed me a question earlier and she said, why am I on Facebook? Why am I always getting friend requests from India and Pakistan? My India and Pakistani friends are already friends on Facebook. The most important thing with that is, and you're going to not like this answer, is change your password. That's a really good thing.
Facebook password. The
What?
Facebook password. The
Yes,
Facebook
ma'am.
password. Okay.
Change your Facebook password. The second thing that you want to do, and it takes a little bit of effort, but when you oftentimes what happens is you've done a post and then somebody random will say, what? I love this post. You are great. Would you be my friend in the comments? You click on that person's name, then you do the drop down of block this person.
Oh yeah, but I'm tired of doing 30 of them a day.
Yeah, they're almost always, but you want to block and report. That extra block and report stops them from being able to get into your system. But changing your password is going to help. Blocking people who are trying to get into your system. They're almost always soldiers. They steal somebody's pictures and account and pose as this, or Doctors Without Borders, or some heroic person because they are preying on people romantically and or for other reasons.
Young
but it's
Indian men that are trying to get out of their country, I think.
No. It's just it's not even that real. They're not real at all. These are factories that actually have enslaved labor of people who they have gotten from other countries, and they force them to do this all day long, friending people to get money from them. It's a horrible, horrible situation. But yeah, keep yourself secure. Terry, you got to make it quick because Maria's moving the chairs.
A funny podcast story. A few years ago, there was this great thing called Serial. It was about serial killers, and it was like once a week. And I told my friend about it, and she calls me back and says, I went to Serial and I listened to about 15 minutes about Cheerios. She said there was like 50 episodes of just talking about
cereals. Nice. All right, we got to go. Love you all. See you next week.
Thank
Be
you.
thinking of your questions for Steve Soto for 3 weeks on the 28th, the 4th, and the 11th.
We'll miss you.
Have a great day.